Now, Project E4 presents the Gcast.
I'm thinking here that the podcast that I participated in have been an hour long, so I think that's the what you would call it, the standard.
I always say go with the flow. If it needs to be short, we can make it short. If it needs to be long, we can make it long.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, I'll take that in mind as we jump into topics.
I'm shocked that Andrex agrees to that. I'll be honest.
No, that's been the Gcast policy for a while. Originally, I was a lot more structured and formal, but we found that didn't really work out for us that well.
And the audience for the Gcast is strictly posters from the Gcast.
I think a couple like Astrofrost, he tends to listen if he hasn't participated. See, the problem with having like everybody participate is that nobody like listens to it, kind of.
Yeah, and it's also more difficult to edit. I can tell you that much. Well, I really can because the podcast that I make, I only have myself and the girl that hosting with me. Sometimes the interview, but I record that in advance if there's an interview. That's how I usually work it out. Ever since the beginning of the podcast was a clusterfuck. I decided this product really benefits from some order. Plus, I like a little order myself.
Should we get started then?
We have started. I have been recording for the last 5 minutes.
Then you've done it the right way.
But I've never had that happen to me before. I usually do that to other people. That's awesome.
Score
always
one
funny.
against
Always
Andrew.
funnier when they don't realize they're recording.
I could edit that out and just give a formal introduction.
Nah.
Where would the fun be in that?
So, ladies and gentlemen, this is Gcast 46. We have been discussing some private matters, but that shouldn't really go on the air. But here we are, Gcast 46. I'm Tyson Matsuki. I wrestled the producer and the script script duties from Andrex. Say hello.
Hi, Andrex here. I am no longer king of the Gcast.
You are still king of the Gcast. It's just that
for this episode, we're trying something new out. We're letting Tyson handle things.
Yeah. Also pretty much plays out. I promised myself that I wouldn't mention the podcast anymore, but I want to try to get away from what I usually do. If it serves up for an interesting challenge in both a producing method. Maybe the Gcast could be a beginning. Okay, so we have
I'm Spooie, also known as Chris. How's everybody doing today?
Jesus. Be more creepy, Spooie.
I'm on the phones with the public 4 hours a day every day. This is how I do it.
So basically, Spooie is the T-shirt that you do not want to. Do you want your kids be? You do not want to leave your kids with.
Well,
I don't know if I would want to leave anybody.
I don't really teach, but you're very close.
Teacher assistant.
I actually help with the certification of people to become teachers.
Oh.
Could you certify yourself?
If I took a few tests, I certainly would be eligible to have some kind of certification.
Okay, so
but we'll leave that for another time.
Yeah, it's another story. Also on the show we got Joel, SMM, right?
Yes. I'm just the quiet one. I'm taking a break from studying for finals week coming up, so
yeah.
I need a brain break.
Everybody's pretty much doing that. Well, Andrews is a working man. Spooie is a working man as well. Oh shit. Joel and myself are the only ones that that are taking a
Oh no,
break.
no, no, no. No, you've clearly never been a graduate student. You were still a working man. I do as much going to classes, homework, and working for the school as I did at my full-time job beforehand. Like this is not just quote unquote being a student. Like, hey, you're putting in the hours. Like I put in more than 40 hours a week doing this.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Wow. I practically treated my internship like it was a job. I put like 40 hours a week. That's how much dedication can one have to the job. But I don't call it dedication. I just call it doing what you love.
Yeah, especially when you make less doing this.
Well,
I'd rather do something I loved and not be monetarily rewarded than doing something I hate and have a fortune. So
I agree.
What he said.
I agree with that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's get
Ladies.
ladies. No,
He's assuming there's a woman listening.
well, there's Tabitha and maybe Steph.
Has Spooie and Steph ever been seen together? You know, I'm not saying they're the same person, but
So, okay, so
we
you're
did have a
suggesting-
podcast together.
oh yeah, that's true.
So, are you suggesting that Steph is Spooie's out?
Or vice versa.
Oh
I don't know
God!
what you're talking about, Andrex.
All right, gentlemen. I have a list of topics for you to discuss, and let's begin with the first one. This is quite of a shocking one because Nintendo just announced out of the blue that they're not doing a big presentation at E3 this year. What do you think is that?
I feel like-
Andrex?
I feel like everybody's looking at me through their monitors.
I selected this topic specifically with you in mind.
Rightly so.
So I've actually been surprised that they kept doing their E3 presentations even after E3 downsized. It felt like one of those things that Nintendo, you know, they started doing it a while ago and they don't want to do it anymore because it doesn't line up with what they think they should be doing. This is like, I mean, it's like an unrelated example, but like their message boards when they shut those down, you know, these are the kind of things where you're like, I don't know. Anyways, so they're gonna focus on their Nintendo Directs more, and they've been actually putting a lot more news into those recently. And they've been keeping them like once a month, I want to say, and there's some pretty good stuff usually in them. Nothing that would really beat an E3 conference. So on that front, it's kind of disappointing. But yeah, I don't know.
I think it's a mistake because instead of big media presentations and focusing on more small scale presentation to their consumers, it seems that they're actually focusing on their fan base more than attracting new customers. Do you think the huge success of the Wii, at least in terms of moving the consoles, actually merited that the response? Or just that E3 is just a big waste of money and Nintendo said, we can afford it. We cannot afford it.
The thing about E3 is it's everybody thinks it's for, you know, hardcore gamers, but really the biggest impact it has is on news sites like CNN and whatnot, who, you know, take the lightest pass possible on, you know, what's announced and what's revealed. I think that there are better conferences than E3. I think E3 is kind of a relic almost. I feel like PAX is a better conference for getting, you know, letting actual players play the games, getting more, you know, social media buzz, internet buzz, because actual people are playing it. Whereas E3 is kind of like this inclusive, you know, press air quotes only club.
Has Nintendo attended GDC? I think that was last month. Okay.
They've been attending GDC for a long time. Iwata gave the GDC keynote in 2011, I think. So yeah, they're deeply involved. At this last GDC, they announced their Nintendo Web Framework for getting, HTML5 JavaScript applications and games onto the Wii U. They announced a partnership with Unity, so that if you get a Nintendo Wii U dev kit, then you get a license for Unity for free, that kind of thing. And there's also some eShop stuff they were talking about, which sounds pretty cool.
What is Unity again?
It's a kind of an engine / editor for games. The big thing originally with it is that it would export games to like anything under the sun. I think they're stressing that less now, but it's still like one of the key features, I guess.
For the people that were disappointed that Nintendo is missing E3, I'm pretty sure they're doing Tokyo Game Show in September or August. I don't remember the exact date. Mostly because it's on their home turf, so if anything... by the way, the thing that kind of worries me is that... and I read a criticism about this. I think it's on the money. You guys can comment on this. As long as the Nintendo platform has Mario, Zelda, Pokemon, what have you, the system will sell. The thing that Wii U doesn't have until now are both those three things. Has there been an announcement or something that they're working on something for the Wii U? Possibly not another new Super Mario Bros. Wii U version?
First, I wanted to comment on TGS. Nintendo, I don't think, has ever fully attended TGS. Last year, they made some announcements there. Mm-hmm. They usually make a couple announcements before TGS each time, but I don't think they're actually there at the conference. What was the question? Something about Mario?
It basically was a statement and then a question. It was about a criticism that I read. I think it was Adam Sessler that said it, or somewhere else on the internet that I read it. As long as the Nintendo platform has Mario, Zelda, and Pokemon, it will sell. And for now, the Wii U lacks those three things. Or do you think that's the reason the Wii U hasn't quite got up in the world as the new next gen platform, or is it something else entirely?
Can you guys hear me?
I don't think Nintendo's first party alone is enough to really capture any kind of wide success. We can see that in the GameCube. The GameCube had a lot of very good Nintendo games, but it came in last during that generation. The Wii U does have a Mario game. It launched with one, and it's a very good Mario game. What were the other two? Pokemon and something else.
Well, Pokemon has more presence on the handheld platforms.
Right.
But there's opportunity for Pokemon games on the platform. Like for example, Pokemon Stadium, Pokemon Snap. I can only cite Nintendo 64 games, which is where I really got into Nintendo platforms.
I wouldn't really call those system sellers, though, and they're certainly not crucial for the success of a Nintendo home console. I think what really matters in the success of a Nintendo home console is just third-party support. I mean, that's what it's always been. That's why the NES and the SNES and to a lesser extent the N64 and Wii, that's why they were successful. What Wii U needs is Nintendo to pull the same kind of thing they did for the 3DS. Because the 3DS, there was a lot of 3DS is failing, articles and talk around when the massive price cut was announced. It was like 6 months after launch. The 3DS didn't have very compelling software at all, really. I mean, the best game was like Ocarina of Time 3D, and there's not really much on the horizon. I mean, there was some stuff, and then fast forward to today, the 3DS is pretty dang awesome. You got, Fire Emblem and Luigi's Mansion, which is fantastic. You got Shin Megami Tensei 4 coming out in 2 months. You got that's like a worldwide release or something. You got Pokemon X and Y worldwide release. You got 2D and 3D Mario Kart. All the Nintendo staples, but pretty compelling third-party support as well. And that's what they need to do with the Wii U. I think the first step is obviously some kind of price cut, especially when the other consoles launch. I think the latest rumor is that the next Xbox is going to be $300 with like a subsidized subscription.
I'm gonna ask that you withhold about the Xbox because we got that topic coming up. But yeah.
Right. Well, I just figured I'd mention it. It doesn't make sense for the Wii U to be $300 and $350 when the other consoles come out and they can do much more graphically and they have better networking capabilities and probably better third-party support. So Nintendo needs to compete on price a little better, and they need to get third-party support beefed up, which they've shown they're capable of doing. It's just a matter of making the right decisions. And the gun, Iwata is really under the gun because he said he would resign if he couldn't meet something like 1 billion yen profitability in the next fiscal year. So
basically, he's putting a John Riccitiello.
I wouldn't say that. John Riccitiello, he kind of felt like he was ousted by the stockholders before he was able to really plan for it. Whereas Iwata's, he's made this year-long declaration that I'm going to be out in a year if I can't get Nintendo to these levels. And unfortunately, what I think that might mean is I think they might rush a lot of games out. There's a rumor that the next 3D Mario sequel to Galaxies is going to be out this year, which we haven't seen anything of yet. And Nintendo's shown they have a lot of things in the pipe, like the Xenoblade successor X and Bayonetta 2.
Yeah, Bayonetta 2. There's still a lot of people upset about that, but hey, it's business.
I mean, they definitely have all their internal studios firing on all cylinders, but I don't know. I hope that game quality doesn't suffer for it. Like it felt like Wind Waker and Sunshine were rushed out because the GameCube was failing, and I hope that's not the situation with the Wii U. But we'll see.
Well, maybe we're just acting with all the cynicism that the internet is known for. But maybe 2013, while Microsoft and Sony are launching their platforms, Nintendo will have a strong lineup on the holidays. But we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, I mean, it could definitely be a compelling console this Christmas if they have, if they have a new Mario game and the console costs like $100 less for each version, and the networking capabilities and downloadable content is ramped up, which it does seem like it is going to be. So that's something at least.
All right. Let's move on.
You know what's one of the things that's preventing me from buying a Wii U? And just one of the things that's preventing me from buying a Wii U.
You can buy your games digitally and you're against it?
Where's all the... Well, I could always buy the disc versions of that.
For now.
Where are all of the new Nintendo games?
Do you mean...
And by new Nintendo games, I don't mean this week's Mario game. I mean, where are all the new Nintendo games? Reggie came out on stage in 2006, and he showed off 3 games that he said were brand new franchises for the Wii. One was Excite Trucks, which wasn't a new franchise. It was a reworking of Excite Bike from 1985-86.
Well, it was more the other was a reworking of Excite Bike 64.
The other was Disaster Day of Crisis, which never came out in North America. And the third one was Project Hammer, which we never heard of again. That was the last time outside of the Wii Avatar series of games that I can think of where a brand new console game came out from Nintendo that we've never seen anything before from. That was 7 years ago. If everybody they were working on was making new franchises for the consoles, where are those games?
Nintendo did make quite a bit of new franchises. I'm just trying to remember which ones.
For consoles?
What's that?
For consoles?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Their big promise in 2006 was that they were going to make new franchises to bring to the Wii, and I don't know if you can call Wii Sports and Wii Music new franchises. You could, in theory, call the Wii line its own franchise. Where are the rest of the new titles?
Well, Xenoblade, they made that. That was a new franchise, and it did pretty fantastically as far as critical reception was concerned. And that is getting kind of a spiritual successor.
That was the one that was the GameStop exclusive, right?
Right.
That was available for about a week.
And then nobody could find a copy. I remember getting it. Maybe I ordered it from GameStop.
I could be mistaken. I know there was a GameStop exclusive that came out that everybody loved, and I thought that was it.
I think Xenoblade was GameStop exclusive.
And then if you didn't get it that week, you never got a copy of it.
Well,
now they cost $130.
Well, everybody knew it was going to be a limited run. Most people are surprised it was coming out at all.
Did everybody know it was going to be a limited run? Who exactly are the people who's their audience that knew this game was going to be coming out?
How many people are Direct?
So basically hardcore Nintendo fans that already know about stuff ahead of time before it comes out.
Right. And they were able to use that to cut back on the risk with producing potentially a lot of unsold copies. I think that was the plan.
It's the same people that camp out and wait for Atlas games to come out to get short print runs.
People camp out for Atlas games?
I know people that are Atlas dedicated, and some of those games have unfortunate print runs.
I would disavow yourself.
Did you see that midnight launch for Etrian Odyssey 3? That was really good.
Yeah, I've played the Atlas games are good. I remember seeing when the first Disc Gaia came out, however many years ago that was, and seeing how hard stuff like that is to find, or before they reprinted some of the old Phoenix Wright games. I had to import copies to replace mine that disappeared at some point or another because it was cheaper.
That's pretty much my issue with Nintendo Direct, because when instead of Nintendo focusing on their hardcore audience, they should just start bringing in the avalanche of people that didn't know what a gaming console was but got attracted to a Wii. That's the kind of people Nintendo needs on their console.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, exactly. Nintendo, the thing is, Nintendo needs new customers. There's people who were spurned by Nintendo in the last generation because the Wii didn't materialize into what the Wii should have materialized into. Because Nintendo basically let anybody who wanted to make anything on the system make anything. And that's why we have Cake Party 7 and Imagine Baby Mamas 14. Nintendo needs an actual...
I would buy that by the name alone.
I don't think that's necessarily...
needs to bring back actual gamers who aren't specific Nintendo fans. Nintendo, and I don't dislike Nintendo. I have tons of Nintendo. I have all their Nintendo systems except for the Virtual Boy. Trust me, if I could get a Virtual Boy, I would buy a Virtual Boy.
And I think
Nintendo needs to see beyond their loyalty to the people that love them. They need to bring in new people. And killing their E3 press conference isn't going to bring in the attention of people who don't know what the Wii U is.
You think that a game like Xenoblade
has to websites and to their Nintendo Direct conferences, things where already we know, yes, loyal Nintendo followers, people who are video game followers of Nintendo will know where to find this. But nobody else will know where to go.
That Xenoblade has mass market appeal, and that it would have if it was for the Wii,
It
would
may
have
have
transformed.
if they released more than 80,000 copies of it in other than one store. It's possible if they didn't wait 6 years after the system came out to come out with something new when everybody was already leaving the Wii. Yes, I think it's possible it might have opened up to a few other people.
I really don't think so.
This
I
game
think
is
that
April
JRPGs that
2012.
aren't named Final
The Wii
Fantasy
came out.
in the United
The Wii-
States are always going to sell very few copies.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. What did you say again?
I don't think Xenoblade would have been a big hit. I don't think at all.
Well, and what reason again?
It's a JRPG, and JRPGs not named Final Fantasy don't tend to sell that well. I mean, there is the Tales series, which kind of straddles the line between good sales and not so good sales, but that varies on game to game.
Before Final Fantasy VII came out, it was a Nintendo exclusive game series, and it had a very loyal following on Nintendo systems. Then the Nintendo 64 was announced, and they announced they were going to come out with cartridge games. And Sony said, we're not going to do this. It costs so much money to do this. It's impossible to make this game. So they went to Sony, and they worked with Sony, and they put out an ad when Final Fantasy VII came out that said, if this game was on a cartridge, it would cost you $1,200.
$1,200?
And people didn't know what it was, but they saw this ad, and they said, wow, what is this thing? And all this hype started building from this. Because it was this huge, giant game that was going to use cinematics. It was going to use audios. It was expansive. It was something you couldn't do on what was supposedly going to be the most powerful system ever.
Spooie.
And it exploded. Now Final Fantasy is a household name because of this.
Spooie, if I could interrupt this history lesson for a second, can I ask what the point of it is as it relates to the Wii U, which we were talking about?
How is Nintendo going to show off new products to consumers if there's nothing that they're showing off at E3? How is anybody going to know outside the people who are already dedicated followers of Nintendo that are going to go and seek out the information on Nintendo Direct? E3, regardless of what they'll tell you, is not for gamers. It spawned from the Consumer Electronics Show as an alternate show to show off products. It's a product showcase. Different outlets that are from people who aren't familiar with games get their information from what's shown off at E3 for the next year. That's how the information gets sourced out there. There's going to be a big show for Sony, there's going to be a big show for Microsoft, and there's going to be a tiny enclosed space for a few developers and a few marketing people from different stores and a few video game press journal people who we all know are going to report to people who already know about the information because they follow video games. We're going to hear about the big new system that's come out. It doesn't matter if Nintendo doesn't have a new system to launch. They didn't have a new system to launch in 2005, yet they still showed up and they still put on a show just like Sony did.
Actually, they did show the Revolution for the first time at E3 2005 and the Virtual Console service. But that's besides the point. The point is that E3, the information that they would have given at E3 would be disseminated anyways because of Nintendo Direct. Everybody picks up on what is shown in Nintendo Direct. Maybe not CNN, but do people really go to CNN to get news about their games? That's the question.
I don't like using the term soccer mom because I'm sure there are some mothers out there that actually generally like.
Okay, so soccer moms get their gaming news. They're big
people
gamers.
Who don't know anything
they get
about
their gaming
games.
news from CNN. Are these
they get their gaming
the target
news
audience
from anywhere
for
that's
Nintendo
not a video game website?
For the Wii U games that they've shown so far?
Well,
I don't think so.
Well, if you ask me, all these controversial mature games that they get reported on Fox News for some controversy, they do get watched by soccer moms. So you may be, but again, this is a question about, or not a question, but an issue about limiting your audience. And in Nintendo's position, I don't think that's smart. That's just what I think.
Let me just ask this. How are people who are not familiar already with Nintendo and don't know what a Nintendo Direct is and don't go to video games, how are they going to find out this information?
Those people wouldn't buy games. That's the point.
They bought the Wii. 80% of the people who bought the Wii were people who never played video games.
Did they learn about the Wii from CNN?
For years.
Did they learn about the Wii from CNN?
They heard about it hype.
No, they learned about it from going to their neighbor's house and playing Wii Sports.
They saw that the record-breaking lines from Nintendo that were reported on the news. They heard about it from their friends. They saw a brand new ad campaign for all this stuff showing off these things. Sure,
none of that came from E3. That's the point.
You don't. Well, when's the last time you watched Bloomberg television?
Never.
When somebody goes on Bloomberg, basically, and they're talking about the fact that Nintendo had 5-hour lines at the E3 press conference, people don't care about the games. They care about the buzz of all the stuff that's happening, and that's the buzz that trickles out into the world. And then people hear, ooh, do you hear this Nintendo thing's coming out? What is this?
There was no casual hype.
You hear about the shortages
generated from.
You heard about the shortages the weekend of Black Friday. That's what you heard about, was the Wii shortage. You didn't have to hear about anything. It's the Tickle Me Elmo effect. Who cares about Tickle Me Elmo? But there's a buzz about all this stuff out there that's created, and people want to find out more, and they go out and get it.
Did any of that come from E3 though?
Tickle Me Elmo? Yes, everything came from E3.
That is false.
Yeah, I do remember the shortages. I do remember that Nintendo couldn't meet demand because so many people wanted the Wii. And
I will go find the video. If somebody wants, I will go find the video from the first day of the show floor on E3 2006, when random people sent by different stores to go check out products, because that's what they did. They sent random people there, ran by the Sony area completely.
I remember
just to
that
go stand
video.
in line to play the Wii.
You're miscorrelating.
Those were not regular gamers. Those were just those were random people that they sent out from stores. I'm sure there were many gamers among them. But yes, that was in fact building hype, and that those lines led to, hey, did you hear Nintendo had all these things? What's the new thing? And then Elman comes out and Oprah comes out with a Wii system because that's the hot thing, and everybody loves watching Ellen and the Wii. So it's like, oh my God, there's your soccer moms there basically saying, what is this new system? Hey, this looks fun. This looks like something different that I can play. No one's going to see any of that stuff.
That is false. Continue. Because Reggie has gone on the late night talk shows with the Wii U. This is all possible without E3. You're miscorrelating
I don't think Jimmy Fallon
E3 lines for sales 6 months after the fact. E3 isn't what got those sales. Not by a long shot.
Do you think, okay, where do you project their sales? What do you okay, be 100% honest, and I'm not, one way or another, I won't complain down the line. Next year, this time, where do you think the Nintendo itself is going to be amongst Sony and Microsoft?
The Wii U specifically?
Anything. You can count everything. You can count as little as you want.
The Wii U specifically is facing a dire time. It's facing the same kind of situation the 3DS had at its worst point, but even worse than that. So I can't possibly begin to think. I mean, Nintendo, they're a wild card. You can't predict what they're going to do. I have no idea.
All right, so
you think they're going to have new games in a year, like a brand new game for the, and I don't count the whatever that the 101 thing is there, because that's not really theirs.
Sure. What about X?
But will they come out with something that's not, Mario or Zelda or Pokemon or Metroid or Donkey Kong?
Look at the list I posted.
Or Kirby.
Okay, so while Spoolie revises that list, we're going to a short musical interlude. We'll be back with the Gcast.
Warning, Mega Man approaching.
Robots
And we are back on the Gcast. Andrew, Spooie, you may resume.
Oh, wonderful 101. That's what it was.
I mean, here's the thing about the Nintendo Directs. The last one, what's the last one? It was one of the ones.
Don't get me wrong. They're going to sell the system regardless because people rely on them for, Mario and Zelda and so forth. They have a loyal audience, and that's understood, but they're never going to survive on that loyal audience.
I think the GameCube showed that they can get by on that, but they do need wider success than the GameCube. Contrast that with kind of Microsoft and Sony, and if they got sales like the GameCube for any of their systems, they might possibly pack it in and be finished. Which is why I'm interested in how the Vita is going to do, how that's going to end up, because that is selling pretty terribly.
Maybe the GameCube actually, people knocked the GameCube sales, but Nintendo actually made the best profit of the GameCube that generation.
Also, Nintendo was in a better financial situation to actually withstand the losses, if any, of the GameCube.
How would you figure that compared to today? They're coming off of the Wii and the Nintendo DS, which, aside from the NES, are their best-selling systems of all time.
Well, they're pretty much trying to run a business, so so if anything, my guess is that and since Nintendo keeps posting losses, I really have to wonder what's going on in the management side, because either someone is making terrible decisions, or the money's being stolen or something. Because normally I would think that Nintendo could survive if the Wii U was a failure, if it was marketed bad based off on the success of the Wii and the DS, but they already had the DS XL, the 3DS. They did not have as much market appeal as the Wii and the DS had. So
it's actually the 3DS is actually tracking above what the DS had at this point in its life. It's tracking below the Game Boy Advance, which kind of shows that the GBA was cut off before its prime, I suppose.
Yeah, I do agree with that.
As for the financials are really complex, and I don't feign to understand them completely. But what really hurt Nintendo, and what's really been the cause of a lot of their financial strife, is exchange rates. I mean, it's kind of a cruel world, but how their consoles are doing and how much money they're actually making might not actually be completely the same, if you can see what I'm saying. So this quarter, their financials they posted 2 weeks ago, I think, they actually got a profit this quarter, but most of that was written off because of the exchange rate kind of reversing the way it's been going the past few years. I think the yen is weakening, so they were able to post a profit, but they won't be able to do that next quarter, from what I understand. But it's very complicated. I'm trying to figure as much about it as I can, but you can't really say, well, Nintendo will definitely have a profit if they sell this many systems, or Nintendo can't do well unless they sell this many systems. It's based on complex financial terms.
Well, in that term, we're talking about break even. I actually don't know the numbers of how many units they have to sell to break even, and that only covers manufacturing costs. But the thing that kind of bothers me is that when companies report that they have a profit, they automatically most people tend to assume that if they got a profit, they got a monstrous amount of money. But there's also other, like for example, sell X many units to break even. That only covers manufacturing costs, but Yeah, but you still have workers to pay. You still have but your normal operating costs within the and that actually eats out of the profits. So if anything, I think Nintendo will either reevaluate their marketing strategy, or they're just gonna be more careful with what they launch. They're gonna be more withheld. I don't know if that's the right word.
Right. From what it sounds like they're barely breaking even on Wii U hardware, which is not very good. Although that was in November. Hopefully they've gotten it down because they do need a price cut on that.
Actually,
but Nintendo.
Actually, I don't think Wii U will get a price cut unless they break even.
Say that again? I'm not following.
I don't think that well, a price cut on the Wii U may be necessary to actually push out some hardware to the consumers. On the financial side, I don't see that happening until the console breaks even at its current price point, because with either it breaks even or they develop the Wii U, the next phases of Wii U with more cheaper components,
like a redesign.
Yeah, not necessarily a redesign, but actually figure out like for example, the original PS3 and the PS3 that got the USB ports removed, all the Mate was removed as well. That actually came at lower costs. They still sold the platform at a loss, but I think on that stage they managed to break even, and that's when the development of the PS3 Slim actually came through, as more cheaper components actually go and then.
Well, the thing with the PS3 Slim is that they took out all the PS2 parts, so.
Yeah, they needed to do that to actually lower the price, which is what most people were asking for.
They took out the PS2 parts a couple of years before the Slim came out, actually.
Yeah, they started taking them off with the fat PS3.
I've got the crappy model, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I bought my PS3, I actually made it a point to get. It was 2008. The old PS3s with the Emotion Engine were being phased out, and I made it a point to actually get one that had the PS2 chip on it, because I never owned my own PS2. So there were games that I wanted to play that I just couldn't because I didn't have a PS2. And while you might say, but Tyson, why don't you buy a PS2? It's easier. I know, but it's another piece of console taking up space, and I don't like wasted space. Also, the fact that it does.
I just
PS2.
bought my third PlayStation 2.
I was more of an Xbox guy back on that stage. I play a lot of Halos, but then my cousin came up with the idea to. He gave me his PS2. I gave him my Xbox, and then I started discovering other games. That's when I became a fan of the Kingdom Hearts series. I was already a fan of Metal Gear because I played on PS1, but actually I got to play it when I got the PS2. I don't know.
I was a fan of Metal Gear too. You know, I played it on the Nintendo. Remember that? The original Nintendo?
Consider
when it was a Nintendo series.
That game is not canon, Spooie. You know.
No, the first one is. It's the Snake's Revenge that's not canon.
No, but
there's two of them on there.
The NES games.
No,
yeah.
No. If I recall right, Kojima said that the only games in the Metal Gear universe that are canon are the MXX ones.
That might be true, but the NES MGS1
I don't know
is
how he's
pretty much a straight.
Today, so he might have changed it in the last 24 hours. At one point, though, the original was supposed to be part of the storyline, and then this Snake's Revenge was the one that he didn't develop, so that one's not seen as an official game. And then he ended up going out and did, what was the other one called? Solid Snake, or what was it? It was on the MSX.
Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake, yeah. That game is actually available to play on the Metal Gear Solid 3 Subsistence. I don't remember it. I think it's Subsistence. Or rather, it's on the HD collection. You can just pop in Metal Gear 3, and if you want to play the original Metal Gear games, you can go to the options, and they're over there. It's actually fun to know how Metal Gear got its start. I beat Metal Gear 2, but I haven't not beat Metal Gear 1.
It's a good game. I like that.
All right, so
Big Boss, you shoot a rocket into it, I think, is how the game actually ends. If I'm trying to remember, Big Boss was a robot. And he was the size of a room, and you had like a control rocket you had to blow up with.
If I remember right, you actually kill him with fire. I don't know.
Possible. I'm thinking. This is like 89 or so. I'm not trying to think back to right now. So it's been a little while since I played the game.
Yeah, me too. I'm gonna have to look up the boss battle now.
Now the Game Boy Color version. That's where it's real.
I have not played that one. I envy you right now.
Nobody has. Don't worry. It came out end of the lifespan. It goes for a decent amount of money, I think, too.
Is that rare?
I bought it because I had a year or two prior bought the PlayStation version of it, and I think most people didn't even realize there was one on the Game Boy Advance. Or not the Game Boy Advance, the Game Boy Color. It's like Shantae. It came out a week before the thing died, basically, and Shantae is one of the most sought-after games ever, apparently.
There's WayForward has talked about putting it on the 3DS Virtual Console, and I imagine when they do that, the price will...
You will buy it, I'm sure.
I
will?
Twin Snakes, you mean?
Yeah, I'm sure you will.
If it's a good platformer, I'll definitely get it.
Well...
They tried making Shantae Advance and Shantae DS over the years, and they can't seem to get anybody to want to fund them for that.
There was...
Fund like Mr. Garfield's Spider Party or whatever it's called.
There was Shantae Risky's Revenge for DSiWare. They did make that. It was like a sequel.
Well, it's nice to know it came out at some point.
It's still available through the 3DS shop.
Yeah, you can still get it on the 3DS, which is nice. It's not like
I have it, but I know it's there.
Yeah, it's not like the Wii U where like the Wii shop is completely sectioned off within Wii mode. You have to boot up into Wii mode.
Hey, what's the deal with the Virtual Console now on the Wii U? I heard that
it started all over again.
Yeah, instead of just releasing everything, they're just picking random games again to start with.
Yeah, it is so awful.
You waited 6 years to get it on your Wii. Now wait another 6 years to get it on your Wii.
We never got Yoshi's Island on the original Virtual Console. That's what really pisses me off. Especially now that there's another Yoshi's Island game going to come out for the 3DS. I want to play the original now, and I can't.
Well, you could.
Of course, their solution, air quotes, is going to be they're going to put the awful butchered GBA version on the 3DS Virtual Console, and they're going to be like, hey, you can play it now. And I'm like, I don't want the GBA version. What's that?
Yeah, there was a GBA version. Yes.
I might actually own that and not even realize how sad is that.
You probably own every single game, but don't even realize it.
I have Mario Advance 2, and I think it was 3. Is that the one? Maybe it is. Maybe it is 3. Okay. And then 2 was actually the third game, right?
No, 2 was Mario World, I think.
2 was Mario World?
I think so.
Which one was Mario Brothers 3?
1, maybe?
I thought that was Mario 2.
I don't remember. It was so confusing.
That's the one I don't have because they came out with like an exclusive like e-reader version or something for Walmart, and I never found it.
Yeah.
Super Mario Advance.
Because I'm one of the 4 people that owns an e-reader.
You got like exclusive levels. I've actually seen the levels on YouTube, the e-reader exclusive levels, and they're pretty awesome. And they like put in like the cape from Mario World and all this other stuff. It's
okay, the first Super Mario Advance game was Super Mario Brothers 2.
Okay.
And then the second one was Super Mario World, and both of those I think were the All-Star versions. And then 3 was Yoshi's Island. 4 was Super Mario Brothers 3.
4, okay.
That doesn't really...
So I have 1 and 3, and the only reason I actually have 1 and 3 was because they were the Player's Choice titles. Remember when they still did Player's Choice games?
Vaguely.
Way the very end of the lifespan of the Game Boy Advance, they came out with the Player's Choice games. And that's the last time I think there ever has been a Player's Choice release for Nintendo.
You know what would make me love Nintendo like 1,000 times more than I actually do? If I could get my Wii Virtual Console games onto my 3DS. It baffles me that I can't get NES games.
I'm sure in another year they'll find a way to do that, but it'll cost you $1 each for the hardship.
Oh, of course. It'll allow me to torture people with Solomon's Key on the go.
Don't bring up that game. Please, I have bad memories.
That game makes me want to kick babies.
I love that game.
That game infuriates. No, it's a really neat game. It's just it infuriates me.
I used to have that game on the Nintendo, and I can't remember the exact reasons, but that's one of the few games that was either traded away or opened for some reason. And I have Solomon's Club on the Game Boy, but it's just not the same. It's a good game, though.
It's a quirky little game that is also infuriating. It's just like, we're going to hide the key in a block. Oh, well, you have to create the block first so you can break it and get the key. No,
there's no
go
password
home,
for that, right?
The
old school version of Nintendo, I think, was like you had to play through like 100 stages.
Yeah, I got to like the mid 40s, and I was just like, go away. I won't deal with you anymore. Like, it's just one of those. It's just one of those games.
If you want to play a game that's a cross between Solomon's Key and the Lemmings, track down Troddlers on the Super Nintendo.
Troddlers?
Yeah, I never even heard of that game, and then probably 2003, there was back when I was still using eBay to find games, somebody had probably 30 copies of Super Turrican 2 they were selling for a penny. And Super Turrican 2 to begin with, I've seen that game sell for like $70 buy it now new. Back in 2003, I guess today they're selling those copies for like $200, and I bought one for 83 cents. And I noticed the guy was like, save on shipping if you buy more than one game. So I was like, hey, what's this other game, Trollers? That's 1 penny. I think I'll buy that. So I got myself a 1 penny game, Trollers, and I played it, and I was like, this is kind of like Solomon's Key and Lemmings. So.
And then the shipping is $8.
The shipping back then, I think, was $3.99 plus $2 if you got more than one item. That was back when when you could make your own shipping before eBay started stepping in and saying, no, you have to do this, you have to do this.
Yeah, I remember buying a stack of cassettes a while back when I got my current car, and it had a cassette deck in it at the time, and I was just like, penny cassettes, shipping $2.99. Ugh.
Penny cassettes, what is that? $9 or $7.98 for shipping. Great.
Pretty much.
And then it comes in a 42-cent bubble envelope.
That sounds about right.
All right.
That does
so
look
that
like
Yoshi
that,
game, Andrex. So we're looking forward to that, right?
Yeah, I hope it's good.
Is that for the 3DS?
Yeah. There's like a ton of stuff for 3DS coming out.
So what are they going to call it? Is it like Yoshi's Island 3?
It's Untitled Yoshi's Island Sequel.
The new Yoshi's Island.
Yes.
I'm thinking new Yoshi's Island 3.
New Yoshi's Island Mario Brothers.
I didn't know there were avatars in Yoshi's Island.
Avatars?
The little people from the Nintendo Wii.
The little Mii's.
Yeah, that's the Mii's.
Where are you seeing this?
Didn't they start adding in the Mii avatars in New Super Mario Brothers Wii?
No, they did that in the Wii U version. But that's only for I think it's boost mode, which is separate from the main game. So, I think there's some Xbox or something coming out soon.
But first, we gotta make a pause.
Pause.
Because Spooie needs to take some water after doing spooieradio, and Andrex needs to relax after the fight that happened like 20 minutes ago.
Fair pause.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be right back with the Gcast.
I do need to apologize too.
What's that?
I said I needed to apologize. I realized that Nintendo came out with Fling Smash, so I theoretically you could count that as a new franchise.
Yeah, they've done a couple like small games like that nobody like realizes. Oh, Nintendo came out with a new IP, like Dillon's Rolling Western for the 3DS eShop. Like that's completely new Nintendo IP. Harmonite, which Game Freak did.
Harmonite is really neat.
Yeah, love Harmonite. Stuff like that. Nobody ever really brings it up. I'm gonna go get a drink now.
Are these digital only?
Yeah, Harmonite is digital only, which I think has hurt its exposure a little bit.
The kids who don't have access to buying things can't point to it in the store because they don't know it exists.
It really needs like a cheapo, some kind of like physical release. Right, maybe a fancy version in a year or so with gobs of extra content or something. I mean, it's a fun game. It's just I mean, the price is definitely right for a game of its length, and it's not super difficult, but it has its moments where you're just like, you really just did that. Okay.
See, I never even heard of this game until you guys just brought it up.
Yeah, you definitely, like, if you didn't know it was the Pokemon Company, like, they're just like, by the way, here's some levels where you play the Pokemon music. Oh, that's who you guys are.
Yeah. So, Malice, I didn't know that you played Harmonite.
Yeah, I bought it a few weeks ago, and I finished gold starring the main playthrough today, and I'm about halfway through fast mode.
I still have to dive into it. I've been still absorbed in Monster Hunter.
Yeah, it's I had a thought for a sec. Yeah, most of the game is pretty easy the first time through.
That's good because I'm usually horrible at music games the first time through.
Yeah, and its timing feels weird. Like you think you're supposed to tap things at a certain time, but you need to tap it a fraction of a second beforehand, or you don't get it just right, and it takes a little getting used to. For somebody that played Guitar Hero and Rock Band for uncountably many hours, then it takes a little adjustment.
I'll have to keep that in mind. I mean, I loved what I saw and heard of it. I mean, I still have to track down a Drill Dozer. I think I mentioned that.
You should check
Drill
out
Dozer.
Drill Dozer.
Speaking
That's
of
the one from X-Play where the girl liked to drill things.
Yes. Speaking of downloadable titles, you should check out Crimson Shroud while it's on sale.
Is that the
It's the little tabletop RPG that's actually a video game.
Yeah, I've heard great things about that, but I'm not like a tabletop player though.
It's mainly just a little exploration with turn-based RPG battles. Like it doesn't play like a tabletop game.
Interesting.
Like you explore around and you get thrown into battles, and the better you do, the more loot that you can get. And it's somewhat challenging. I haven't played but maybe an hour or so of it, but it's on sale for like $5 for a little while longer.
Yeah, I'll add it to my wish list. I mean, I still have. I bought and downloaded Link's Awakening DX and Luigi's Mansion. I still haven't played past the first stage in Luigi's Mansion because I've been so focused on Monster Hunter. It's taken over my life. I'm like, it's just one of those games. I've sunk. I counted. I looked at my playtime last night. It was 100 hours. So and I don't even feel like I'm close to being done yet. It's just one of those games, sink tons of time into it. It's really almost like an MMORPG, but without the MMO and without the RPG, if that makes any sense.
Oh, what game was this?
Monster Hunter.
I've dabbled in Monster Hunter, and it's just not my game.
It's not most people's games. It's very... A lot of people find the controls really archaic.
I found it sluggish and a little unresponsive, and I had somebody tell me that's the way it's supposed to be.
Right.
I declare that not an argument.
It's not an argument, but it's the truth. I mean,
I sort of get that. It's just that I like when I press buttons for the game to do stuff.
Right.
Instead of look at me and then do stuff.
There are, weapons like the greatsword and hammer. They feel really sluggish when you first use them. There are other weapons like the dual sword and the long sword that are really fast. Like I've been playing greatsword basically the entire time in try, and then ultimate reintroduced the dual blades, and they're like freaking fast. They're like doing like 10 hits in like 3 seconds, but they didn't have any like power behind them. And I like that feeling of the greatsword. You have this big ass cloud Final Fantasy VII like sword, and you bring it down on a monster's head, and the head just goes and like bits of bone like fly off of it, and you're like, yeah.
I think if I had the patience and the time to sit down and play with it for a while, I'd be better off with it. But like right now, I just don't have the time.
Yeah, I mean, if you actually get into it, like if you get over that initial control hurdle, you will lose way too much time of your life to the game.
My brother plays it. Has played a significant portion of that game, and he enjoys it. It's just he also has spare time.
Wow, that's cool.
The only thing I know about Monster Hunter is the anime.
Which one?
I think it was aired on Fox Kids. I don't remember the season. If there was more than one season, I just don't remember.
What are we talking about?
Monster Hunter.
You sure not thinking of Digimon?
No.
There
was
You're
a
thinking
Monster
Monster
You're
Rancher.
thinking of Monster Rancher.
Oh, Monster Rancher. Yeah. My bad. Yeah.
Yeah, Monster
That's the one
Hunter
that had
is
that
a little
giant
different.
Orange single-eyed monster, right? With
Yeah.
That's a good
Everybody
game.
I was
who
thinking
here
of
has
Monster
played those
Rancher.
games?
I have.
That's the one where you could actually put your audio CD
You put your CDs
PlayStation
in it, and you got special things for. In particular, CDs had special creatures for like certain Star
That
Wars
was awesome.
CDs. You got some on it, and there was a lot of.
You would use the CD to
certain
actually
interesting
build your
idea.
monster. I think it came from
Did it work
Barcode
like that?
Battlers over in Japan. Yeah, you could actually put a
Well,
CD in, and it would scan the CD and it would read it, and that's actually how it created some of the monsters, was based on the uniqueness of that CD.
That's pretty awesome.
It's just like a procedural generation.
It's going to be even awesomer when you do it in digital format, because you try to put that CD and then you're like, where does it go into the slot? It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it does.
That format blew up for a little while.
MP3 Rancher coming soon.
Or they'll just call it like Music Rancher, Audio Rancher or something.
Audio Rancher.
Audio Rancher.
Well, I mean,
does anybody remember Barcode Battlers?
No. But I work at a grocery store. I've got plenty of guys.
Oh, I think I remember that.
Should I say the short version of the Barcode Battler story? I'll keep it under like a minute and a half.
Okay.
Bring it on.
In Japan, in the mid 90s or so, they came out with a game basically called Barcode Battlers, where you could have this little kind of toy and you would scan barcodes for items, and it would become possessions within this game, and then you could use it as kind of like a virtual pet type of thing. And it come to find out that some soup some random can of soup had like this special thing where if you scan the barcode, it gave you like almost like this godlike power basically. So all the kids in Japan went out and bought all of this soup, and they actually had a shortage of the soup because all these kids were buying it to play their video game. So for like 6-7 months, you couldn't find the soup anywhere because as soon as it was stocked, these kids would run in and basically buy everything.
I'm just baffled why nobody just tore the label off and passed it around class.
Or make a photocopy machine. I don't know.
Oh, you get it
Or better yet, scan it more than once.
Yeah. Like, all the barcodes are the same. I don't know if they know that.
It's like when they had the PlayStation Eye of Judgment game that came out for remember that game, anybody? PlayStation Eye of Judgment?
Yeah, the little card game.
Yeah, like Yu-Gi-Oh.
And then, yeah, you needed to buy those cards, basically, and then it would scan it in, and then somebody realized that all you had to do was, photocopy the card, and you didn't have to buy one, and...
Who was it? They printed out like some little bunch went out and printed out either a giant one of those or a giant QR card for the little 3DS thing. And the DS doesn't care how big it is, like if it's the size of a square block or something on outside, and made it appear if it was like Godzilla sized out in the real world. That makes me look that up now. That's kind of funny.
3D is awesome.
I see.
Hey, one of my videos is almost done uploading.
Which video?
Street Fighter Alpha 2 for the Super Nintendo.
Is this what you captured with your Elgato Game Capture HD spooie?
Why, yes. I captured this and finished recording it not 4 minutes before I jumped on for this podcast.
Ah. Awesome. So you're saying something about it having a microphone input for commentary and stuff?
Yeah, apparently you can record your audio directly to the MP4 that you're recording. It doesn't use the proprietary ITV format that I was kind of hoping it would. But can everybody hear me all right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, needless to say, though, you record it. It converts over to an MP4 file, but it seems to have an automatic mic recording feature and an automatic Twitch feed streamer.
I'm getting so excited thinking about it.
I tried it on my account, and I seem to have a little bit of hiccups on mine, but maybe on a PC it'll work a little bit better.
Huh.
I still have to, I've been trying to kind of adjust and tweak things. It seemed like I was recording a minute-long segment of a video, and it was outporting to about 700 megabytes, so I thought maybe I might have set them a little high for the output on that.
Spooie, don't you have 50 terabytes or something by now? I mean, come on.
I could count, but
I know most of it is taken
I know
up.
we have to be off in an hour, so I don't want to keep up much time.
I know most of it is taken up by 50 billion episodes of X-Play and whatever, but you still gotta have some.
Well, actually, they do count for about, they're at least a terabyte for each drive of the two. So
Wow.
I had to guess 2.25 terabytes are X-Play alone.
So
That's not including other G4 shows. That's just counting X-Play.
Is it true that you archive X-Play better than the actual people did?
The actual people, I don't think did archive it. They looked to me actually. I found out by Matt Kyle actually that they didn't keep a record except for the theme episodes, like the robot episode or the Breakfast Club episode.
Right.
That's really didn't do that at all. But just so you know, you're going to get the game capture, I believe you said?
It has to be next month because
right?
I'm blowing all my money this month. I'm going to Google I/O.
Yeah.
Any tips for me?
Steal Google Glass.
Hopefully they'll give away.
Oh gosh.
They usually give away a lot of stuff, so hopefully
Google
that'll be...
Plastic really didn't take off like I thought it was gonna.
Yeah. I'm waiting for, the Apple iWatch, that's going to be the next revolution.
The iTime.
The iTime.
But don't
you could actually put one of those nano iPods. There's a company that actually came out with a watch band for that, so you could carry it as an actual watch.
It seems like a no-brainer.
That's what I was going to suggest because Apple already has an iWatch with the iPod Nano because
the Nano doesn't run apps though. I think that's going to be the big thing.
No, I don't think something that small can run apps and still be successful.
It won't be like full-fledged like web browsing apps. It'll be like like heart monitor apps, notification apps, that kind of thing.
Oh my God, I'm having a flashback. Whatever happened to that? Yeah, whatever happened to that Wii finger pulse thing that checks your
vitality
heartbeat?
Sensor.
Yeah, whatever happened to that?
Apparently that went to nowhere.
Yeah, they killed that. I think
like Ubisoft tried to come out with their version like a year later, and that also went nowhere.
Yeah.
I think at some point people draw a line as to what information you can get from them.
Do you think if Nintendo would totally blow me away if they announced Project Hammer was back, the Vitality Sensor, and if they brought back
Sadness,
Nintendo Pennant Chase? Remember that? Well, they didn't actually do Sadness. That was that company that apparently never released any games ever because I don't think any of their games ever came out. Nibris, I think that was the company, right?
Nibris, yeah.
Nibris, yeah.
They did make a game. I think they made a DS game, Raid Over the River.
Did that actually come out?
I think it did. Maybe not in America, but not Sadness. Sadness was always like smoke and mirrors.
Sorry, Steph, that's never happening.
It was basically what Kingdom of Amalur or Amalur, whatever that MMO was.
Shilling's game?
Yeah, Shilling's game. Whatever that game was to the Rhode Island government. Sadness
$37 million?
To the Poland government. It's basically like cash incentive to keep it going or whatever.
Nibris has 1 released game and 3 canceled games.
I'm not surprised.
Sadness, Raid of the River, and The Children of the Night were all canceled.
I never even heard of that one.
It was a DS release, or slated for DS. Raid of the River was slated Wii and DS, canceled. They have Double Bloob for Wii and Nintendo DSiWare from December 2010. Well, and the only references on this Wikipedia article are from Jim Sterling.
Hey,
so take that as you will.
Double Bloob got a 4 out of 10 from IGN. I don't know if you want to consider that a good or bad. It's IGN.
Yeah, it's IGN.
I don't know who Nintendo Life is, but they actually gave it a 3 out of 10. So,
Oh, they do the Virtual Console reviews.
Okay, way to go, IGN, right?
IGN is completely useless these days.
Yeah, with the ebbing of
that's what it says though.
With the ebbing of like for example, I personally read my reviews on Polygon. I trust no other website other than Polygon, mostly because Brian Crescent is on the team, and I always trust that guy.
Has anybody heard of Paper Wars: The Cannon Fodder?
I'm about to have.
For Wii, apparently. I think it came out in Europe or something.
That's a lot of information, Spooie.
I looked up Double Blue, but it says actually the company that released it was actually Bloober Team.
That's the development team, you mean?
Either the developers or the publishers. I can't tell. GameFAQs has changed their page around, and it doesn't tell me anything that I actually need.
I thought it still did.
It just says develop and published games. So.
Wow,
And,
someone can't figure
I think if you go to, I think if you go to the
oh my
actual
God, Fish
game
Tank
page,
from Europe. That was a Wii game from them. So they actually had 2 Wii games come out under Bluebird Team.
I think if you go to the game specific page, I think it differentiates developer publisher.
Okay.
See, Malice knows how to navigate GameFAQs, Spooie.
I used to spend a lot of time on GameFAQs.
Wow,
I spent a lot of time on the PlayStation 2 forum, believe it or not. Who knew, right?
I don't believe it.
Oh wow. That was at the time where I was mostly into chat rooms. I wasn't new by the internet.
Oh, you pesky kids.
Well, that seemed like a fun experience for everybody tonight.
And with that fun experience, we had to wrap up this episode of the Gcast. Otherwise, we can go on, and we don't have any more material for the next Gcast. Probably run by Andrix again.
Yeah, we'll try to do one next week too.
We'll try to do one within the next 3 months. I think we can get one in there.
Well, by this time next week,
Before or after E3? That's the real question.
Well,
during
we can talk about
well,
we can talk about Sony stuff, and we can talk about Microsoft stuff, and
we can probably.
I guess
talk
they'll
about
probably get Nintendo Direct too. That Andrix will fill us in.
Yeah, if we're lucky.
Yeah, we can boost the audience just in having you two fight.
Well, we weren't really fighting. We were just having a passionate discussion about the things that mean the most to us in life.
All I care about is the ratings.
There are now going to be
from 4 to 6
listening to this podcast.
That's why we need you.
Hey, there are tens of people listening every week.
That's why we need you.
We have that many?
You bring in the ad money. You bring it in. Well,
If anybody is curious, though, my video is up on YouTube now. So at least the first half.
Oh.
I think they won't actually let me load anything more than 15 minutes ever since I got striked by a G4 and Comcast about 3 months ago.
What a bunch of pricks.
I don't think
really.
they have those limits. Or I know you can list. I know you can list videos as unlisted, but to actually go on with that limit, that's actually kind of retarded, I guess.
I think I had been on so long and had so many no strikes against me that I could pretty much upload anything. I don't know, it was like an hour and a half or something like that, or 2 hours, or 2 gigs or something like that. And then
I've seen some crazy long videos.
I uploaded. Well, here's the weird thing. I uploaded the final end segment of the screensavers part there for Attack of the Show, where Patrick and Leo come out.
Oh yeah,
and they got like huge hits. I mean, like Leo Laporte himself like linked to it, and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. And then like 3 days later, it was like, struck down by Comcast. It was like they didn't take down my X-Play one that I put up where they said thanks Spooie for everything, but they took down the one that everybody apparently watched.
Lawyers, you cannot understand
Nobody cares
them.
about. And well, you know what? And now I get the last laugh on them because as of a week and a half ago, I didn't see Esquire on TV. Did anybody else?
Didn't they delay that till July or something?
It's somewhere in the summer.
it could have been on TV, and I would have known it.
They're literally.
I watched like 2 hours of TV a week.
They showed an episode of X-Play from June 10th, last Monday. That's how far back they're going because they've shown so many from like August on through to the end already that they have to actually go back in time a couple months to grab, quote, new episodes to show in the rotation.
Is any of those news and reviews like even relevant anymore?
That's really it.
They had a feature.
News is probably dated by now.
I mean,
reviews may still be useful, but not by this time.
See, what made X-Play great and rewatchable was the, for me
skits.
anyways, was like the skits and the interaction between Adam and Morgan. And some of the classic reviews had really good writing.
Blair and Morgan?
What's that?
I said Blair and Morgan?
Who?
Blair Butler, the guy who took over for Adam. Well, he didn't really take over for Adam, but He unfortunately became the
Blair
figurehead
Butler was
when
the girl.
Blair Butler was the original writer on X-Play, and then Blair Herder came in. Blair was the guy from Road Rules.
Too many Blairs.
By the way, we all know what happened to Adam, but what happened with Morgan? Where's she?
She's smoking $1 million bills in a luxury penthouse in the Bahamas right now.
Wow, she made that much money from television, or that was only the maximum?
Her husband, I think, was one of the creators of the Real Player format, and I think he is worth quite a little bit of money.
Yeah, he's the one that did the $1 billion iPod little TED Talk, wasn't it, or whatever it was? Rob Reed, who did Rhapsody, I think it was.
Rhapsody.
Just in case anybody's wondering, I have recorded last week's episodes for X-Play, so I can tell you right now what they covered. They have a review of Prototype 2.
That's
Game of Thrones, the game.
Prototype 2 had a good commercial.
Max Payne 3 has some pro tips coming up from T-Squared. Halo 4 is coming out soon.
Nah.
Check that out. Xbox Art Glass. I can't remember what that is, but I remember hearing about it.
Ask Chad. He was into that.
Ooh, Watch Dogs. There's a new game called Watch Dogs coming out. This looks really fun. I think you guys will like it.
That's still coming out.
Lollipop Chainsaw's review's coming up tomorrow. Nintendo announced a new system called the Wii U. It's got a screen. That's going to be huge. You know how that thing is going to be.
Yeah.
Oh, and one of the games coming out for it is Batman. It's going to be ported over. That's great. That's good news, Nintendo. I like that.
I'm still waiting on a price cut for that.
There's a game they just showed off called Last of Us. Why didn't you order from Amazon like 2 weeks ago and it was like $30?
The Wii U version?
The Wii U?
Yeah, it was like a deal of the day or something.
Spooie, I'm not into all these sales like you are. Plus, you know my stand on.
You're doing it wrong.
$30 is too much for me too. So.
And Andrix, you're on Twitter, so
it's right now.
You can put.
It's still $30 on Amazon right now.
Mute Spooie.
Okay, so I think we gotta wrap this up, really, guys. We really had to.
And that's like 20 minutes, right there.
I blame Spooie.
Yeah,
as I always do.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to put a DMCA notice on Spooie. He's too dangerous.
Ugh, what is this box art? Ugh.
You know, like neon teal as a color with Batman with electrified gloves. That looks great.
That's unfortunate.
He looks like a character from Mortal Kombat or something.
That's about the price point that causes me to buy stuff is half price. And usually when I go through the grocery store, the original price is about $5 or $6. I'm just like, ooh, half price. This is good.
Does he growl in this one?
I don't know.
Does who growl when?
Does Batman growl in this one? Like, swear to me.
I think.
I'm sorry, I had a hairball in my throat right there.
Unfortunately, I think it was Kevin Conroy in those games, wasn't it?
No, I don't think it was.
No, he was those, actually. He was in both of those, but I heard he's actually not coming back for the new one they announced.
Yeah, he's not back in Arkham Origins. Neither is Mark Hamill. Although he said he was
Mark Hamill keeps saying from what I understand, he kept saying he was going to stop doing the Joker, and then he kept doing it.
He didn't want to do.
He said he was going to stop, right? And then he came back for.
I can't imagine that does good things for his vocal cords, but man, that's a good voice.
It's the same voice as the Hobgoblin from Spider-Man, 1995.
No one cares about that series, Spooky.
Oh, really? Hey, no, that's on Netflix. You should care. That's totally watchable.
It's totally awesome.
You got to watch at least the Alien Costume Saga, parts 1 and 3. That's where it's really.
I've been rewatching.
The only Spider-Man series worth watching is Spectacular Spider-Man, and they canceled it. So never.
And they replaced it with that awful one that's on that.
Ultimate
Everything's a joke, you know.
Where it does like the family.
Man and his unamazing friends with bad humor.
Wait, what was the Spider-Man that was like? He had a different costume and he was voiced by Neil Patrick Harris.
That was the
I don't know, but that sounds
MTV
amazing.
series one that was on for like one season.
Yeah,
and
that could have
Loeb, I think, was Mary Jane, right?
I have to find a Spider-Man series where he's voiced by Neil Patrick Harris.
Yeah, what's it called, Spooie?
It was just called Spider-Man.
Oh.
It came out in 2003, I think.
Yeah.
I'm looking it up
Someday
right
I
now.
will watch the copy of the
Spider-Man,
DVD
the
about
new
7 years
animated
ago.
series.
So, new animated series. There you go.
Tell us how it is, Malice.
I'm looking at the wiki page right quick. I want to see how long it was. 13 episodes, apparently.
And with that, I think I have overstated my welcome today.
Yeah, you definitely have.
And I want to apologize for the things I said about your mother, Andrex. I just want to...
That's okay. I'm sorry for saying that you're like half transsexual woman, earlier, but
hey, I'm perfectly happy with my body and my lifestyle choices. Okay, I mean, I don't know what problems you have with it, but
Well, at least you are. That's what's important.
There goes 4 of our viewers right there.
So I can finish the podcast now.
Sorry, Tyson.
Let's turn it back over to our host for tonight.
Yes.
Well, guys, this has been it for the Gcast. This has been probably longer than I expected, but this is how we roll, I guess.
It's not as long as I expected or planned.
She said.
You three guys totally fuck up my plan.
I got what Andrex's joke was. That wasn't very funny, Andrex. That hurt my feelings.
I thought it was pretty funny.
All right, guys. So we'll see you later. So we'll see you later on the next edition of the Gcast. Probably Andrex will be running it.
Probably.
Yeah, see you next month.
See you guys.